Hey Invaders, welcome to the second episode of the Obi Wan Kenobi series. This is the breakdown and there's a great deal to go through, so let's get to it.
Obi-Wan makes his way to Daiyu. This is a planet full of criminal activity. As he embarks onto the world, he again tries speaking to his old master Qui-Gon Jinn, but again gets no response. While a clone trooper appears begging in the street, the Empire discontinued the use of clone troopers. Darth Sidious wasn't bothered with troopers that are efficient fighters. Instead, Palpatine focused on the mass quantity of his soldiers no matter their capability. The clone looked defeated, and you could only sympathize with him. Now the stormtroopers have taken over their place. Obi-Wan converses with the drug dealer for information on his daughter, of course referring to Leia. She replies saying she won't be found on this planet. The spice dealer gives Obi-Wan some free spice to help him deal with his sorrows. A boy shows Obi-Wan to a scam artist posing as a Jedi called Haja. As the scammer fakes Jedi powers to deceive vulnerable people into giving him credits in exchange to get off-world. Obi-Wan lays bare the sham, breaking his magnets in the process. Haja agrees to aid Kenobi in finding Leia as Haja conveys to him the best route of action. Using Haja's advice, Obi-Wan creates a chemical explosion as a diversion at the spice lab to get past the door. He is confronted who catch him in the act. Kenobi's fighting skills are out of practice as they land moves on Obi-Wan. Eventually, Kenobi defeats the thugs while still not utilizing the Force. Obi-Wan then walks into a trap set by the kidnappers. They were waiting for him at gunpoint with instructions from Reva. They beat Obi-Wan up a bit and mock him about Jedi bleeding. They then seize his lightsaber. Obi-Wan counters by throwing the spice given to him by the girl previously in the street. He snatches his lightsaber back and exits the danger. Following this, he continues his search and finds Leia, who is unsure of, and after discussions, leaves with him to escape the building and the kidnappers. Reva discovers the kidnappers and sets forth to locate Obi-Wan, but is stopped in her tracks by the Inquisitors that are angry at her for using a kid as bait, especially Santa's kid. Reba explains herself. She says that the Organas have links to Obi-Wan Kenobi through the archive. She reveals her intentions that by kidnapping their kid, that Obi-Wan would come out of his hiding. Her evil plan did work, but her rash, aggressive nature does not sit with the Inquisitors. She does not care, though, and shows her disrespect for acquaintances and goes off on her own once again shortly. Not before the Grand Inquisitor claim that Reva is trying to gain station with Darth Vader. The Grand Inquisitor divulges to Reva that she is essentially nothing, and that she is the bottom of the rankings of the Inquisitors, and she can't change that. Reva came from the gutter, and placement among them is due to just her skill. After the encounter, she orders a contract on Kenobi for every bounty hunter available to capture him, which dispatched an abundance of bounty hunters his way. Now that the information of Obi-Wan is out to the public, the Grand Inquisitor is furious. Obi-Wan has playful banter with Leia as she is trying to keep a low profile so they do not get detected. Leia spots an image of Obi-Wan on a communications device and grows suspicious of him, accusing him of lying about who he is and why the criminals were after them. Leia runs away from him as Obi-Wan seems to struggle to catch her. Leia appears to be too quick for the adults. It seems as she did the same in the previous episode with the kidnappers. Obi-Wan follows Leia to a rooftop of a building as bounty hunters shoot at him. Meanwhile, as Reva silently scans the streets for Kenobi, she suddenly hears nearby blaster fire, to which she pounces from the rooftop to get to. Leia tries jumping off a roof to the nearest building, but as it is a fair distance, she doesn't make it. As she falls, she grabs onto the wire connecting the two buildings, but is barely holding on. Obi-Wan finally tries using the Force to lift her in the air to stop her falling to the ground, but he is struggling, probably due to the fact he hasn't used it in so long. His connection to the Force might be weaker. Leia can't hold on any longer and drops. Just as she was about to hit the ground, Obi-Wan, still struggling, levitates her as she is gently placed onto the street's floor. Haja is seen again, and he tries to help them as he sees that they do not have a way back to the ship as it is heavily guarded. Haja tells him of a safe passage with a ship that can get them out of the planet. Haja explains that he isn't a bad guy, that he has just done some questionable things and wants to make amends. As Obi-Wan and Leia set off towards the location told by Haja, Haja tries to buy them time by confronting and stopping Reva in her tracks. Reva knows Haja isn't a Jedi by reading his mind and aggressively slams Haja to the wall and mind probes him. This power could be the skill the Grand Inquisitor is talking about. Reva discovers where Obi-Wan is going to go through Haja. Obi-Wan and Leia bond, and Obi-Wan reveals that she reminds him of a person he once knew. Even though he doesn't say it, it seems he is talking about Padme, which was very touching. Reva enters the scene and Obi-Wan says that Leia to run to the ship and that he will get there soon, but if he doesn't end up getting there, that she must go anyway. Reva tells Kenobi, to his shock, that Anakin is alive and that she is going to take him to Vader. Obi-Wan has a bit of a breakdown. How did he survive their duel? He must have been thinking. The Grand Inquisitor arrives and tries to take the credit. Reva was never going to let that happen, so betrays the Grand Inquisitor, stabs him through the chest just as he was about to attack the hiding Kenobi. This was Obi-Wan's chance to escape, so he runs to the ship and escapes Reva, and Reva is left on the outside and shouts that she will eventually get him. Obi-Wan ponders on the information he received that Anakin, now Darth Vader, is alive, and mutters Anakin out loud. The end scene shows a burnt, scarred white face of Darth Vader just before the credits roll.
Overall, I'd give this episode a 9.5 out of 10. Almost perfect. I'm glad that Reva kills the Grand Inquisitor, and I'm not fussed on his character, especially his appearance. For me, it solved one of the few things I've disliked these last two episodes. Reva was great again, obsessive in the pursuit of Obi-Wan and ruthlessness. I loved the inclusion of Haja, the slimy fake Jedi. It was very comical and made great scenes and discussions. And we have a little competitor for Baby Yoda, Grogu, with little Leia. Obi-Wan's performance was great again. I loved that he was a bit rusty and struggling to use the Force, but eventually, with a lot of effort, manages just about in the end with the rooftop scene. It was nice to see Vader again, and hopefully he'll be in every episode going forward. The excitement is brewing for the next episode. I hope the quality of the episodes continues down this path moving forward. Qui-Gon was mentioned again. It was definitely seen as a build-up for him to feature at some point. Can't wait till next Friday. Don't forget to subscribe until the next time on Star Wars InVader.